might want to get some popcorn ready because today we're talking about watches that are inappropriately cast in movies as well as watches that are perfectly cast.
My baby likes
In Hollywood, every aspect of a film is meticulously prepared well in advance, especially when it comes time for its main character. Every aspect about him is prepared in such painstaking detail, from the type of clothing he'll wear down to his shoes, whether or not he'll have facial hair to his haircut, to the type of car he drives, to his home. They all have specialists in this area, from the wardrobe department to hair and makeup. They even have consultants to cover the type of watch he'll wear, and most of the time they get it right. But on occasion, a watch is inappropriately, or I should say miscast, and that's usually because of the star's power, where his ego wants him to wear his own personal watch every day too. So I thought it'd be more fun to begin with watches that are miscast, and then move on to watches that are perfectly cast. Starting with a throwback show, The Cosby Show, specifically Theo. Here's what I mean.
I'm Theo.
I always liked Theo. I always thought he was funny. I thought he was funnier than any of the girls. So here, Theo is wearing a white gold President's Rolex.
I'm ready now.
And if we know anything about the Huxtables, we remember Cliff and Claire were financially successful, but they also raised their kids with certain values. And a frugal Cliff would never buy his teenage son this expensive of a watch. This was from the late 80s, so this watch at the time cost about $14,000 to $15,000. So it was most likely Malcolm Jamal Warner who played Theo's personal watch. The second film in which a watch is miscast is from In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood. This is one of my favorite thrillers. So we see the Secret Service agent Frank Corrigan with a two-tone Rolex with a Jubilee bracelet. So a Secret Service agent is not most likely going to be wearing a Rolex, though a stretch argument could be made that maybe one of the presidents whom he was protecting maybe gifted him this watch. But we also know that Frank Corrigan didn't get along that well with the presidents he was protecting. So this was most likely Mr. Eastwood's own Rolex. We've seen him wearing this watch about town, this very same watch. The third film is Rocky IV. This was a really cute scene. This was where Rocky was saying goodbye to his son right before he headed off to Russia to fight the indestructible Ivan Drago. But Rocky was used to wearing Rolexes. We've seen him from starting with Rocky 2. And Rocky didn't go broke until after this film, starting with Rocky 5. So the likelihood of him wearing a gold-plated Gucci at $250 from Rolex, and I don't think that's too likely. After all, Rocky is just, well, let's hear him say it.
I'm a fighter. That's the way I'm made, Adrian. We can't change what we are.
Exactly. Rocky is not really that much of a diverse character. He's just a really lovable character that we root for no matter who the opponent is. But this is a stretch for him to be wearing this Gucci. The fourth film is Die Hard 3. Duck. So here, Detective John McClane is wearing a Breitling. And although Breitlings were really big in New York at that time, his character was also broke and having marital problems, so it's not likely that he could afford a Breitling. And by flipping the watch upside down doesn't make it less noticeable. It makes it more noticeable in this scene. So this is probably Bruce Willis's own Breitling. The final film where miscasting is done is Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Suspected Tom wants to see you immediately, and Jesus, look at that watch. Is that a Patek Philippe, Jeffrey? Please.
Now the reason I think this watch might be the most miscast watches of any movie is not because I don't think this watch looks great with this suit. It's because Axel Foley's part-time sidekick partner played by Paul Reiser, Jeffrey, would never be able to recognize that this is a Patek just like that. In fact, this scene felt more like a promotion or a sponsored scene by Patek, or as likely, it was probably Eddie Murphy's own Patek in real life, and he had a chance to tell the whole world what a lovely watch this is. And in films, there's supposed to be a suspension of disbelief, but For me, there was no such suspension for this because that whole scene just felt like a sponsored scene, almost like a commercial for Patek. The next category is where watches are perfectly cast, starting with Leaving Las Vegas.
Look.
$500 for a 93 Rolex Daytona. I'll do it.
This scene is all about the watch, the 93 Rolex Daytona, from the respectful way Nicolas Cage handed off the watch to the on-the-nose but minimal dialogue. The reason I think this might be the most perfectly cast watch of any film is because this Rolex Daytona is a quintessential Hollywood agent's watch, and the dialogue in this is just so well written. This is a really great movie and directed by Mike Figgis. I really like this movie, but you also have to be really in the mood to see this because it's a downer. Oops, I should have said spoiler alert, but we've probably all seen this film by now. If not, you need to check this film out. But in this scene, this is a pivotal scene in the movie, and it was just so well written that Nicolas Cage just at the very end just says, "I'll do it." This scene is absolutely perfect for this watch. The second film or show is The Sopranos. What can you say about Tony Soprano? He's one of the most likable gangsters we have. The yellow President's Gold Rolex is just also perfectly fit for Tony Soprano. It's so understated, but it fits him. I just can't think of any other watch that would be Tony. Not even a Breitling, not even a Cartier, not even a Panerai. This gold Rolex, and not even a two-tone or a steel Rolex, but this gold Rolex is perfect for Tony. And maybe in part it's because we know James Gandolfini also owned a Rolex in real life. Rolex in films is like, it refuses to be typecast. It can basically be two types of characters. One who is a douchebag or someone who is really cool and refined. And here, Tony Soprano is not a douchebag. And this watch just is it's just so perfect on him. If Rolex was an actor or a character, it'd probably be Jack Nicholson, because Jack Nicholson also refuses to be typecast. He can play everything from the crazy guy,
Here's Johnny,
to a funny character.
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
And that's exactly what Rolex is in film. The third film is Speed. So the Casio G-Shock, this is a really perfect fit for him. One, because thousands of police officers wear the Casio G-Shock, which I covered in the Casio Mr. G, the $7,400 one. It's worn by thousands of police officers, and Detective Jack Traven would totally wear this G-Shock. It just looks really in place with Keanu Reeves' character. And we know how Keanu Reeves' character feels about Rolex. Fairly cheesy.
gold band, fairly cheesy.
That was a great line in the movie. The fourth film is Rain Man. This might be the coolest way anyone has ever taken off a watch in a movie. Nice job, Tom Cruise. So I just said Rolex is actually two types of characters, a douchebag and someone who is really refined. In this case, Tom Cruise's character is a douchebag, so this all gold Rolex fits this character absolutely perfectly. And there's a good thing that there's an arc about his character in this movie. This is an important scene in the movie where it's kind of sort of the beginning of Tom Cruise's character's change. Because he was a real douchebag at the start of this film. He didn't feel any remorse for the loss of his father, and he abused and used his brother, Dustin Hoffman. And the final film where a watch is perfectly cast is from Batman Rising. Try to get away, Bruce. Don't lose her to Tom Cruise. She's a good girl. I can't think of a better watch than the gold JLC reversal by billionaire Bruce Wayne. I just don't see Bruce Wayne wearing even a Rolex or not even a Patek. I just think this reversal is absolutely perfect for Bruce Wayne. So since today's theme was movies and watches, I thought I'd conclude this show with some fun facts about celebrity-owned watches that were sold at auction. Nothing increases the value of a watch more than a watch worn by a celebrity. Starting with Daniel Craig's Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. In 2012, this was auctioned off for $254,273 because this was the same watch he wore in Skyfall. but it was only his second highest pull at auction. The first Planet Ocean he wore in Casino Royale, auctioned for $255,565. Neither of these Planet Oceans were customized or anything specially made about these watches. These were the same watches that we could get from any Omega boutique, but because it was worn on the sweaty wrists of Daniel Craig, this is the amount that these watches pulled in. Another fun fact is Joe DiMaggio's Bulova Accutron. This one pulled in $20,625 in 2013. And how about Charlie Chaplin's Rolex Oyster? This pulled in $51,250. Or Jean-Claude Killy's Rolex Dado Compact Chronograph. This hauled in $614,500. Or Elvis Presley's. I didn't even have to say Presley. I could have just said and should have said Elvis. But Elvis's Omega Constellation calendar raked in $52,500 in 2012 at auction. But nothing compares to Eric Clapton's Patek Philippe, reference 2499100. In 2012, the final hammer price for this watch was $3,635,808. This is a record for any watch sold at auction. Eric Clapton is a big star, a great musician. I don't think he's the biggest star here, but I'm also sure that it helped that this was only one of 2 platinum watches made, but almost $3.7 million. So that made me wonder, what would a watch worn by what on the wrist go for? Maybe $1 million.
$1 million.
Thanks for watching, and let me know which watches you think are miscast or perfectly cast, and I'll see you the next time. In Hollywood, every aspect about a film is meticulous. In Hollywood, every film is mysterious. Come on. This is a really cute scene where Rocky was saying goodbye to Mr. T. This was a really cute scene where Rocky was saying goodbye to Mr. T. Think of a water. I can't. I can't think of a better watch worn by Bruce. I can't think of a better watch worn by billionaire Bruce. Another great movie was Ben Affleck's Payback. No, that was Mel Gibson. But that brought back some Theo show. Well, Theo also brought back really great memories. Cut it.